Hey everybody, Ben Frederickson here alongside Jeff Gordon for an emergency edition of NetFront Presence Video Edition. Gordo, we got something to get off our chest here. The Blues are playing tough. They're reaching down to the depths of their depth. They're scraping the bottom. They're bringing in beer league goalies as backups with guys out with COVID and injuries. And my question is this: how does this happen? How is the National Hockey League, the only professional league attempting to play through the pandemic, that has created this much of a mess where it's actually punishing teams with salary cap limitations for following the protocols that it established entering the season? What the heck's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, the NHL should have understood that this day could come because the pandemic is not over. Flu season is upon us. And, a year ago, they had taxi squads. They had a plan in place. There was a way to handle the situation so that when you had massive problems, that players were on hand and there was a way to deal with it that made sense. And then the league got through a very difficult season with, really tough circumstances for the players, but they got through it. This year said, okay, let's open it up. Let's let the players have more freedom and let's kind of go back to the way things were, which includes managing the cap a certain way. But to not have any cap exemptions for COVID is stupid because, a lot of teams spend to the cap. That's what you do when you're trying to win. That's part of the process. The players want that. The owners want that. So when you get a situation where you can't get a COVID exemption for guys, and now you can't bring guys up for the minors because they make too much over the minimum on their NHL portion of their contract. You can't bring up a guy because he makes $850,000 on his one-way contract or whatever the limit is, $875. It's absurd. So the NHL could easily adjust this. Just give some exemptions for COVID and help people manage the cap so we get through this crisis. The Blues are not the first team to be in this position and won't be the last.
Well, that's the thing. The Blues are not the only team. Well, multiple NHL teams are dealing with guys being held out. They have players out for 10-day windows when they test positive. The Blues, per Doug Armstrong, are fully vaccinated. So this is not a punishment of sorts for players who would not get vaccinated. This is a punishment of players who got vaccinated and also a punishment of teams who are following the protocols that the NHL laid out. Why hasn't there been a change? I mean, they're seeing this happen with St. Louis. They're not the first team to go through it. Is it just stubbornness at this point or unwillingness to adjust this on the fly?
Yeah, I mean, if they're trying to save teams money, the owners are, at the end of the day, the owners are going to want this. They just had the Board of Governors meeting. They should have gotten together and said, look, I mean, we have to make some adjustments. Smart people make the adjustments. Now, the league did tighten up some protocols. The league is trying to get teams to reel in their outside activities. They're trying to keep things more protected. But come on, this common sense tells you can't send a team out there with a smaller roster than is allowed. You're not giving partial refunds to the fans for watching a team that's not A, doesn't have a full roster, and B, can't even bring up the best guys they have in the AHL because some of them make too much. It's insane. Are they going to start giving money back to the networks
I doubt it.
Product? Yeah, I mean, come on, wake up, people.
I don't like to fall into the trap of knocking the NHL for being the garage league. I praise the NHL for coming up with a new collective bargaining agreement during the pandemic, something baseball clearly hasn't quite figured out how to do. So, but this seems like a real oversight by the league. I mean, you've got a subpar product for multiple teams created by a system that the NHL can change. And I don't know why they didn't alter this with the first sign of it. So that's our rant about the league. I'll give credit to the Blues, though, Gordo. They're playing tough. They're pulling guys up from Springfield, at least the guys from Springfield who aren't held out due to COVID protocols. And they're finding a way here. And here soon, hopefully by this weekend, they're going to have some of their guys back. They can get Jordan Binnington back, hopefully. They're going to have some of these players back who've been held out for that 10-day window. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they should be through the worst of this, right?
Yes, I think there is some sunlight out there, it would seem. By the end of next week, barring any more COVID issues, any more injuries, you might have a full team again. But again, hey, it's cold and flu season, people, and it's just COVID's not going away. So somebody get to Gary Bettman and say, dude, enough. I mean, it's crazy what the Senators went through with the Islanders and now the Blues. So end it. Come on, Gary, figure it out.
There's our message. Someone get this in the hands of Gary Bettman. I'm sure he's a regular watcher of our videos, Gordo, and a listener to your Net Front Presence podcast, which you can find at stltoday.com, and probably reads all of our hockey coverage at STL Today. But if he doesn't, someone send it to us. Get it figured out, Gary Bettman. Something to do over the holiday season, a wish list, if you will, for the NHL after holidays, to have a little more common sense when it comes to these protocols and how they're affecting teams. The Blues are hanging tough, but they could use some help here. For Jeff Gordon, I'm Ben Frederickson. We'll talk to you next time.